So obviously 2020 was a very tough year for local governments and festivals, and also local businesses and residents. And so in 2021, yes, as we followed DHEC and CDC guidelines and seeing that decrease, we were able to bring back some of our local events. Some that were done or completed by the town, but then some that were also done by private individuals. And so things like Westie's Vintage Market and Farm Days that are run by private individuals that are just supported by the town, those were back in full swing this year. Huge crowd. It was great to have Pumpkin Palooza, our annual fall festival. We had more churches participating, more local businesses participating, and this year, unlike 2020, it was not a drive-through, so that we could see children's faces again and get to talk to parents and do what we do best, which is be the front porch to Anderson County and the upstate. The other thing for events that we started looking at for the end of this year, having the parade back and seeing people, jam-packed on the streets together, really brings forth that holiday season and that cheer that we want to give. And so for kind of moving forward with events, I think you're going to see West Pelzer get bigger and better. Getting people outside of their vehicles, as Highway 8 is generally a pass-through, getting them out of their vehicles onto the streets and sidewalks, be part of our festivals, to meet the locals. That's what it's about for us, and that's how we distinguish ourselves away from maybe some of the other areas of Anderson County that are growing, that are unincorporated, or some of the larger cities that are around us, that we do have those one-on-one relationships with local businesses, local government, and your neighbors. I always like to tell the full story of 2015 having literally a 100% vacancy on Main Street. Granted, our Main Street is only the size of an electronics department, and Walmart is still very, very special to us. And so as of right now, we're at about 95% capacity in downtown, with new restaurants like Baby Sumo, Hibachi Food, who will probably in 2022, you'll start to see some new offerings there, maybe some sushi nights and some other things. We also have a gentleman's barber shop, A1 Elegance, which is absolutely phenomenal. Pool table inside, have 4 folks, give the beard trims, straight razor, a great addition to our other businesses in town. And so since 2015, you can talk about places like Milltown Place or Westie's or 24 West, the Lincoln Tap Room, all new places in town that complement our local residents.
It's a huge, people that aren't familiar with the process, to bring in new businesses to a small town is a big deal.
It is a huge deal. We do not have the incentive packages or the fee in lieu ofs that maybe some other cities can do, or general fund tax rebates. We don't have the option to do that a lot of times, and so it ends up being, again, what West Pelzer is really good at: one-on-one relationships, being able to provide that market data or research to them to let them know that their business can be successful. I tell people a lot of times that our market data may show that a restaurant would work, but there's so many other ways that restaurants fail, whether it's number of employees or workforce, whether it's the attitudes, whether it's the quality of food. And so we harp a lot on talking about one-on-one relationships with local business owners, and the businesses that are successful in West Pelzer that you'll see are all owner operated.
And you've had new housing here too, for really growing at a pace you probably haven't seen recently.
We have not, and so I equate that, again, kind of being able to tell the backstories. For the previous decade, Anderson County administration and Administrator Rusty Burns, as well as Economic Development and Burris Nelson, have worked non-stop, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, to have jobs happen inside of this county. And so what you're seeing now is the increase of probably 5,000 plus jobs over the past few years within a 15-minute drive time, and they're looking for somewhere to live. And so West Pelzer offers those same resources that the large cities offer. You can live in West Pelzer and walk and have food. You can walk to the park. You can walk to the grocery store, to church, all of the things that the big city offers. And so for us to have about 90 homes that are permitted or under construction, or lots that are available, is amazing. Just left a great conversation talking about future development of what does multifamily start to look like in West Pelzer. Is there a place for a higher density product somewhere? So we're seeing ourselves grow, and we're excited about growth. We understand that more rooftops in West Pelzer means that we can have more offerings, whether it's better festivals or better restaurants or other options. We're excited to have more people living here that can start to tell that West Pelzer story. We know that trails transform communities, that parks create a sense of place. We follow a lot of what Project for Public Places does when we look at what makes a great place. So is it safe? Is it enjoyable? Is it energetic? Does it meet all age ranges? I always say 8 to 80. So can my 8-year-old daughter and my 80-year-old grandmother, if they can use the same park or facility, then I know it will be successful. And so over this past year, council signed a long-term lease for 10 acres along the Saluda River just outside of city limits. And so that allows us to have a waterfront, to be a front porch to the Saluda River, a front porch into Anderson County. We were blessed to receive funding from our local legislative delegation for water recreation funds to build boardwalks and trails on that property that you'll see built in 2022. We're also going to partner with Clemson University this year, their community one-to-one studio, to help build some additional benches and shelters on the property. But again, it's the vision of council. It's not the mayor's vision to implement these things. We sit down annually and talk about what our next steps are to be better than we currently are. Again, best Pelzer. What can make us the best there is? We knew that we needed that waterfront, access to trails, because we've seen other communities thrive off of that. When we say words like Travelers Rest or Greenville or Fountain Inn, all with trails, active streets, energetic with great places, we want to join the same likes of them.
And while you're working on West Pelzer, you've also worked and continue to work in cooperation with Williamston and Pelzer to create trails and other ideas too, right?
Absolutely. And so earlier this year, the three cities signed a joint resolution for Depot Road. And Depot Road is an important connector for us, a little over a mile in length, but it actually connects vehicularly West Pelzer, Pelzer, and Williamston all together. We have about 50 walkers a day that are walking to and from school, and using that corridor as their sole means of transportation by foot or by bike. And so we identified the need for there to be a 10-foot wide sidewalk within the DOT right-of-way along that street. And we're hopeful, as I am our coordinating member for GPATS, that we can have it put in the long-range transportation plan and perhaps be funded soon. I know that in coordinating with Mayor Burgess that and the town of West Pelzer, that we're looking at potentially using some of our ARP funds for additional connectivity and economic development, connecting people to places. I know that Williamston has a phenomenal opportunity to follow Big Creek with a greenway that would connect their historic downtown and park to the schools. We want to make sure we're doing our part and working the other direction. The partnerships with Pelzer also continue. I mean, just this morning I was on the phone with Mayor Ragland for almost an hour just talking about local government policies and procedures as they're, striving to become a more efficient local government. And us being through that process the previous 5 or 6 years, it's okay for us to act like the big brother and show them the way and share policies and ordinances that will help them out as well.
Looking ahead to the first quarter of 2022, it's hard to believe we're saying that. Have you and your council identified some ideas and things y'all want to be working on the first part of the year?
Not yet. We look forward to you coming back and talking to us. So January the 11th, we will swear in a new council member. It'll be Council Member Jeff Lee. We strategically wait until that swearing in ceremony after that so that we can sit down and talk about strategic plans. We love having someone new on council that may have fresh ideas. Jeff is a great story of someone that grew up here, moved away, and then chose to move back here in his middle age. And so we're super excited to have some fresh eyes and minds, but someone that also understands the history of what's going on. I anticipate that you'll see a lot of the same sections of our strategic plan, but it'll be talking about implementing those things. So how do we implement the trails along Riverfront West? How do we make sure that we're a better front porch? How do we make sure that we're actually being our best and not just talking about being our best? One of the other things that you'll see us talk about as part of that strategic vision is having more festivals and events that maybe don't take as much time away from staff or elected officials. And so this year we had Erica Bell and Brian Bell organize our Christmas parade. It's the first time in the history that the mayor and clerk and administrator have not had to actually put it together for us. It meant a lot. It went off seamlessly. It was the largest parade that we've ever had, and it just worked perfect. And so you're going to see us talk a lot about having more volunteers to dive in and help us out. One of those reasons being that the legislative delegation also gave us money as part of our Parks, Recreation, and Development grant to build up Chapman Park. Since COVID has occurred, we knew that building up Chapman Park was more than about just a permanent structure. And so what we did was we bought a stage that was movable. We bought a 30-foot inflatable screen that we could show movies on. We bought a state-of-the-art sound system, a state-of-the-art projector, so that you can see us start to have movies on Friday night like some of the bigger cities do, or we have an actual stage where we can have a band in our park for some smaller events. Again, we're looking for more volunteers to help take some of the load off of our back so that we can focus on doing what we do best, which is talking about the vision for the town and being the front porch.